tell me when to start, okay? Just text me like start in the chat box. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another session of Inside Out, the Catalysts of Change. Thank you for joining us again this Saturday, the 19th of September. We hope you've all been doing well this week, and we hope you're all staying safe and healthy during this difficult time. As we went over last week, what is a catalyst? So a catalyst is an entity that accelerates and precipitates the outcome of a certain event. In our case, our speakers are our catalysts for change. Change that is imminent, change that is necessary, and change that is youth-driven. 2020 has shown us many of its colors, and the pandemic that's going to have a lasting impact on our world is a real issue right now, and that's something we have to learn to adapt to. These special speakers that we've invited are already on that path. We have chosen especially young, driven, and successful individuals who will share their unique journey to leadership with us. Who is a good leader and how do we get there? What are the challenges that come with it? Sit tight, relax, and let's learn from these inspiring people. Now, before we begin, as usual, let's go over the ground rules real quick. This session is a safe space for all of you joining today, so please feel free to interact and share your opinions with us through the comment section. We have a dedicated segment for Q&A at the end, so keep the questions coming. Try not to use your phone throughout the session today. It helps us focus on the learnings of the day. What happens in the circle stays in the circle. And please, guys, try to stay until the end of the session. We promise you won't regret it. Now, before we get started, we have a little activity lined up for you yet again. We're going to warm up a little bit before diving in to the aspects of leadership. And today we have with us the lovely Icha Bhan yet again. She's going to guide us through another brain teaser exercise. So welcome, Icha. Over to you.
Thank you, Vrishali. Welcome everybody once again to this lovely session. Before we kick the session off, we have another set of mentees for you, a different kind of brain teaser. So if you could just, once the slide comes up, once again, please log on to Menti and enter the code 800498.
Guys, please go on to menti.com and punch in the code and answer the brain teaser questions. I'm going to go and do it myself as well. Oops.
So the question for today is, what are the first words that come to your mind when you think of change? So
guys, the code once again, 800498.
So actually this question is quite good because you just, without thinking too much, please respond. It comes from a place within you and it's more so an authentic response.
I think I just literally am going to write what came to my mind. I've done it. Mine is in.
That's the way.
That's really funny because change is a really important aspect of even our series. It's called Catalysts of Change because we live in really fast changing times, and I think it's important to know what change means to you, just in general.
Absolutely. And you need to kind of also be aware as to what effect change is having on you to be able to kind of deal with it. Because if you're not kind of responsive to how you're feeling, you tend to repress it rather than deal with it.
For
So
sure, for sure. I think that it's important to be like adaptable. You need to learn how to sort of mold. You know, there's a really famous saying, change is the only constant, right? So, yeah,
and that holds true and it will hold true until the end of life.
so true. Nothing is
It's
permanent in this world.
absolutely. So these are really interesting answers. So acceptance, that's lovely.
Oh, I love this person who wrote helpful. Wow,
Helpful. Yeah.
change is helpful.
That's a very interesting take to change. And these are all like really positive responses, which is great.
Oh, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Patience. That's interesting. You do need to be patient to deal with change.
Ooh.
Possibilities is quite good as well. Wow.
Keep the responses coming, guys. If you want, I can read the code out again. It's 800498. Um, so yeah, fascinating.
It's beautiful. Nature. Wow. That's at a very deep rooted level as well. Like changes everywhere. And yeah, we actually nature can be a really good teacher. We can learn a
Absolutely.
lot.
Like, you know, season to season, nature changes.
Absolutely. And it's strange because each season, although the characteristics of them are the same, there's always something different about each season. So,
Very true. Very true. Um, do you want to move on to the next one?
yes, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
This is the next question is actually one of my favorite things to ask people.
Ooh.
So, what are the colors? What colors do you associate with growth and evolution?
Oh my God, this is really. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna say the most cringy thing ever, but this is teasing my brain. Oh, hmm.
Absolutely. And this question is really interesting to me because you're kind of exploring vague concepts in a completely different way. I mean, we tend to usually try and define certain things and we try and understand it in a very linear way. But associating color is kind of tapping into these aspects in a completely different direction, but
Color
also one
psychology
that
is
makes sense.
color psychology is an important aspect of neurology as well these days, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It really, colors actually have a, you respond to it, right? So if it's a, I mean, usually the darker colors would have some other kind of feeling, or the lighter colors would evoke something else in
The
you.
reason why like hospitals and clinics associate themselves with lighter, more soothing colors. There's a reason why magazines and like fashion magazines go for those like popping like neons and pinks and
Yeah,
purples. Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
yeah, I feel like is responding to colors is quite
Is a really good way to kind of access information and represent it. So
absolutely.
it's interesting as well because our mind tends to access information in terms of images. So if if you read something in an article or you read a quote or anything of sorts, your mind tends to kind of represented in terms of an image for you, whether it's an experience you've had earlier or if it's a scene from a movie that really stuck with you or a feeling that you can kind of put a visualization to. So there's a nice way to access random and vague topics.
Colors are also important part of people's memories, for sure.
Absolutely.
I remember when I was a child, I was obsessed with the color red for some reason. I don't
Yeah.
know why. I had a lot of red things, red bag, a red pencil case, red like t-shirts and stuff. Yeah, so I feel like colors also you associate colors and smells and sounds, sensory, anything sensory, I think, with memories. So for
Absolutely.
sure.
Also, these colors are lovely, by the way. White, um, Yellow. Oh, it's funny because yellow is in a red font.
All of them are in different fonts.
Yeah. These are really interesting. That's lovely. All right. I think if we're ready to move to the next one, we can do that. All right. And the last and final question for the brain teaser today is, what does being successful mean to you?
Ooh. Hmm.
So take a minute, think about how what in your behavior as such shows you that you're successful. Um, how would you know that you've been successful at something, and kind of define it for yourself? Once you create a definition of something as broad as success or being successful, it's easier to reach. So also the whole process of change it can be uncomfortable because you're kind of entering into the unknown and you sort of have to find your way. So knowing what exactly success means to you in that moment will help you reach it quicker and know at least that you're on the right track. So defining it is a good way to start.
I feel like that's so important because everyone's so driven by this word success, but very rarely do we really quantify it in what in the means of like what it means, what it sort of what meaning does it have in our lives. We just use this word so loosely
Absolutely.
without without actually knowing what it means to all of us. I think it's because we're conditioned to believe that success has parameters, or
Yeah,
success means this, or success means that, or like success means getting 100 out of 100 in all your exams, or like getting a job at a multinational company, or like getting into like the top college of your country or state, wherever you are. So
absolutely.
I feel like things are changing a lot now, and I think that has become a lot more personal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is lovely. Being successful means being happy.
Wow,
That's a
I love
lovely
it.
way to look at it. Able to accomplish your dreams.
Ooh, doing whatever your heart tells you with the utmost dedication.
That's
Lovely.
lovely. That's absolutely beautiful. Being able to
Ooh,
help the
being,
needy,
wow. Okay, this is like my favorite one so far.
having
Oh,
people who
how
I love and who love me around. That actually helps you a lot on your way to kind of when you're on that journey, dealing with the change and the discomfort that comes with it. Having a good support system will really help. So that's a lovely response.
wow, guys, this is love wonderful. I mean, our audience is so sensitive and kind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, such an
This is
evolved
lovely.
audience, I must say.
Yeah, and continually striving to kind of figure out who you are every
Stay
time
grounded.
something happens. To learn, unlearn, and stay grounded within.
That's
That is
fantastic.
wow.
That's an amazing response. It's very
Um,
philosophical.
to bring change in someone's life.
Wow,
Absolutely.
that's
Wow.
a pageant winning response.
Ending life with less regrets. Yeah, absolutely. So do things that you want to do and kind of see your goals through when you're proud of what you've done. Absolutely. Like you have to look back at your life and say that, you know what, I did what I wanted to, even if it didn't work out the way I wanted to, I accomplished something and I'm happy with it. That's lovely. Absolutely. Satisfaction towards the attainment of your purpose in life. That's wow. That's a really loaded response. Love from people. Oh, that's so sweet. To reach a milestone that is relevant at that moment. That is so deep and so profound. There are people who don't understand that. And I think the fact that this response has come in is tremendous.
Like I said, evolved audience.
Yeah, doing the most important thing, being resourceful and content at the
Yeah,
same
being
time.
content in life is so important. I think that's when you know you're like okay with whatever.
Absolutely. That's when you know that, yeah, exactly. And that's when you know that even if something doesn't work out, I'm going to be fine.
I think the general tone of this, all the responses is very positive, and I'm so happy you guys you guys think of success in such a positive manner. So thank you for that. Thank you for responding.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. I always enjoy doing this for you guys. This is fun.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming up with the most creative ways for us for us to tease our brain. Uh, Thank you once again, and that was really wonderful and much needed. I think it really did strain our brain a little bit, and it sort of it's actually so in tune with what we're going to discuss today with our speaker.
Absolutely.
So once again,
Absolutely.
Isha, thank you so much, and we'll see you here again next week with another awesome way of teasing our brain.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vishali.
So much, and have a good evening.
You too.
All right, guys. So we are about to move on to our speaker. Um, Our speaker today has graduated from St. Stephen's College, and his name is Sunish Bansal. He's a management consultant and educational entrepreneur, and he is an incoming business analyst at McKinsey and Company with past investment banking experience at Nomura. He is the founder and head of not one but two youth-based startups, TBAB and Zalfius. He has worked with over 10,000 students across India to improve their work-related performance. He is also a heartfulness trainer and practitioner just at the age of 21. So welcome, Sunish, to Inside Out, the Catalyst of Change.
It's a pleasure being here with all of you today.
Thank you so much. Would you like to introduce yourself to our audiences?
I think the introduction that you gave was sufficient enough, right? Maybe I think just one thing people might be wondering where I'm from, right? No straightforward answer to that. I'm from Rajasthan, but I've done my schooling across Bangalore and Chennai, and my college was in Delhi. So basically, been across North and South.
Wonderful. So you're like a pan-Indian citizen.
I think so, to a certain extent.
So I believe that Sunish wants to get to know all of you a bit better before we begin today's session. We have a special mentee prepared for you so that Sunish has a feel of who exactly he's addressing tonight. So if we can have that mentee pulled up so that Sunish can get to know his audiences. Guys, just get onto www.mentee.com once again and use the same code. It's 800498 and answer the question so that Sunish can get to know who he's talking to. I'm going to do this.
Right. I think this will be really helpful because it'll help us understand who our audience is, and the kind of interaction we have could be guided in that direction then.
Absolutely. I agree with you. It gives you, as a speaker, it gives you a better idea of who exactly you're speaking to.
Right.
We have some responses coming in from our audience. Ooh. So we're dominated by working professionals tonight.
Right. I think it's still a healthy mix. At least we have some representation from across the three different brackets.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for responding. This is great. All right. Ooh, oh, people are still responding. All right, we'll give you guys another 30 seconds. Brilliant. Thank you, everybody. So speaking of entrepreneurship, Sunish, you've achieved so much at such a young age. At this age, at this point in your life, what exactly does like entrepreneurship mean to you?
Right. I think a very simple perspective of looking at entrepreneurship is essentially thinking of it in terms of problem solving, right? We look at the community around us that we live in, right? The society, the city, the country, and we identify problems that exist in that, right? Then we look at and try to see from these problems what we really associate with, what appeals to our moral senses, and what we would like to work towards solving, right? So that's the first that's the first part of entrepreneurship. right? And then that leads to the second stage of really identifying solutions that can be implemented into this. So that's, I think, one of the starting points or one way of looking at really what entrepreneurship is, right? Secondly, the space of entrepreneurship that I'm more invested in personally is social entrepreneurship, right? And I think that can also be seen as a way of giving back to the community, right? And that's my personal take on the same.
That's lovely. That's wonderful. That I don't think a lot of people, I think, associate the business world with sort of being a bit capitalist. But it's nice to see that we have young people such as yourself who are trying to make a difference in the community. You're giving back. I think that's amazing. I think that's the best marriage between sort of social work and business when you can combine the two.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, you're so young. I mean, I've never personally heard of anyone, who just entered their 20s and has launched, as many companies, startups as you have. What went through your mind? What made you want to launch your own companies, and like, how was the process?
Right. I think I'll give the audience first a little brief into what really Xalphius is, right? Xalphius is the initiative which I'm currently working with, right? And I think I can then move on to describe what really were my motivations and thought process behind it, right? So Xalphius, to put it in a very simple way, is essentially a platform wherein we are helping students, specifically school and college students, with two major domains, that is their education and career, right? So we are engaging with them through a lot of resources that are being published online on our website and social media handles, right? And secondly, through connecting with students directly with sessions. Right? So that's a very broad perspective into what we are doing here at Xalphius, right? So now taking a step backwards and coming back to your question, Vishali, is, in terms of what was really my thought process for launching this. And so I really saw the problem as being an unused potential in students, right? Being a student very recently myself as well through my school and college days, I did see a very huge repository of unused potential in students, right? And the two key things that they were kind of lacking in was A, guidance, right? And B, kind of motivation that they need to get into and excel. And so this is what I saw as an opportunity. This is what I saw as a problem that I associate with, right? And saw Xalphius as a way for me to work in this space, right? And it also kind of falls in line with my lifetime goal of, really helping people utilize their fullest potential. So coming to the second part of your question then, in terms of, what really was the process of establishing this initiative, right? I think we can broadly look at it in terms of the planning and the implementation. And so the planning was, as very typically, trying to understand first what are my objectives very clearly, both in a short term and a long term, right? Then second is understanding the entire space in which I'm entering, right? The education side, the education guidance and mentoring space that I was looking at setting up a venture in, right? And the third was then, after understanding my objectives and what is currently happening in the market, coming up with a concrete plan of action as to how I can start implementing this, right? So it started off as a solo initiative, right? With me personally sitting and building up my own website, entire platforms from scratch, right? And today we are a team of 10 people who are driving the initiative.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's just been around 5 to 6 months since we started.
Wow, everyone, I really encourage you all tonight who's listening to please go up and check out his website. Um, I think what you're doing is revolutionary, because when I was a student in school, I would have loved to have this kind of guidance and these kind of tools at my disposal. I think you're really kind of helping young minds sort of shape their future. I think it's much needed. This is really, I mean, it's inspirational. And what advice would you want to give to our young audiences? We have a lot of college students, we have a lot of school students, as we saw earlier via our mentee. What would you like to tell them about corporate culture and how to positively associate corporate culture with sort of their line of work? How would you like to encourage them to enter into this corporate culture, and what kind of mindset would you like them to have?
All right. I think the way I understand it is people do at times associate a negative connotation with the kind of corporate culture that we are being exposed to today, right? But the way I look at it is that rather you need to start kind of respecting it and at least try to abide by it, right? And the reason behind that is that it works, right? At the end of the day, this is the corporate culture that we live in and work with today is something that has been generated over the past 2 centuries of companies coming up, building from ground up and working successfully across the globe. And so there's a lot of actual wisdom that comes in through these corporate cultures. And, it helps to really create a structure and process as you work through things, right? And at the same time, there would be probably one place in which I think the corporate culture, especially in India, could improve on, is looking a little bit at more of treating employees as people and rather not as resources. Right? Because I think in India we definitely
Absolutely.
have the trend of really just milking as much out of your employees as possible. Right? But that's not really good for the employee or the firm in the long term process.
That is so true. I mean, it's really great to hear your ideologies. I want to ask you something, even something that I'm personally curious about is when and why did you feel the need to start your own company? And did you always want to do that growing up?
All right. So I wouldn't really call it as a childhood dream that I had, right? Uh, it was really more of an interest to work in this space, right? As I told you through my school and college days as well, I'd seen students who are so talented, so capable, but they kind of lacked on these major two areas of, really having the right motivation and the right guidance to help them through, right? So this was something I used to do on a personal capacity with my friends, my peers and juniors throughout my school and college life. But I thought, why don't I take it more, more structured and formal approach? And that kind of was the key motivation for me to really start working on Salfius, right? And I think where it took birth was kind of very surprisingly, COVID provided this opportunity to me, right? So it was during this era in wherein we were all locked down at our homes with nothing much to do is when I gave birth to this initiative and started working on it.
That's awesome. You made the most of it. That's so cool. Um, Someone like you, I mean, when I read your bio and when I was sort of getting to know you better on paper, what I noticed the most was the fact that you utilize your day so constructively. Your time management skills are on point. So what I think that's a really important thing to balance. We all have 24 hours in a day. And how would you like to advise all of our viewers to inculcate this really crucial habit of time management?
Right. I think it's really good that you brought this up because in a lot of ways, time management is the key, right? That's the one resource that we can't really control and it works on its own flow and we have to abide by it, right? So I think very broadly looking at it is something that we all do know, right? But we probably don't use it very regularly is creating prioritized task lists, right? So on a daily basis, perhaps just list down everything that needs to be done on that given day, right? And then start prioritizing them. That this is the order in which I want to go about taking up each and every one of these tasks and activities, right? The second thing there is at times we do find tasks a little daunting, right? We might think that it's too much for me to handle. In that case, again, what you need to do is kind of break it down into smaller chunks, right? And then allocate time accordingly. So what really happens then is when you're looking at things in terms of smaller chunks or smaller pieces of work, it seems a little easier and a little simpler for you to do, right?
Absolutely.
And coming to, I think one of the issues I see that youth specifically are facing today is that they waste a lot of time, right? In terms of maybe just whiling away on social media or just sitting and chilling or not doing anything, right? So now relaxation and leisure is good. It's necessary, definitely, right? But you need to time that as well, right? You can't just sit and have uncontrolled, unmonitored relaxation sprees. Maybe you do that once a week or you do that once in a fortnight, that's fine. But on a daily basis, spending hours and hours whiling away on social media and just chilling and talking to your friends is probably not the best way to utilize your time.
I think we're all guilty.
Right? Yeah. So again, to clarify myself, these things are important. These are very necessary things of your life, but you need to do these as well in moderation and control. At the time yourself, okay, probably I'm going to spend the next 1 hour talking to my friends, and after that I'm going to get back to what I was doing. So always set a timer before you get into it, because once you're into it, the time is going to become elastic. You'll just be like, okay, probably another 15 minutes, another 30 minutes, and then it's never going to end.
Absolutely. I think the next thing you know, time has just flown, and then you're like lagging on your entire schedule of the day.
Definitely.
That was That was some really valuable advice. Oh my gosh.
And
I think
that kind of piles up onto your next day as well. If you don't finish the task for the given day, and then that kind of messes up your schedule for the rest of the week as well.
absolutely. So guys, better take this advice. Better, there's no one better than Sunish to help us out, help us understand. Um, so my next query would be about your personal skills and the tools that you have as an entrepreneur. How and what would you advise our viewers about personal skills and the tools at their disposal and how to maximize that to their advantage?
All right. So I think I'll break this down into two key things that you kind of need to whether it's a tool or not is something depends on how well you utilize it, right? One is kind of looking at the motivation angle, right? Essentially, everything that you do does boil down into motivation, right? If you really are interested in doing something, be it an entrepreneurial venture or something else as well, right? You need to have the right amount of motivation for that, right? So looking at that, maybe one way you can tackle it is using internal motivation would be in terms of really convincing yourself that the end result is important to you, right? At many times you may not be interested in working on certain segments or working on certain activities, but you really need to convince yourself and say that convince yourself that the end goal or the end result is something that matters to you, right? And thinking about it in terms of external motivation, I think what you can really use as a tool and asset is kind of align yourself with people who you think are self-motivated, right? Try to associate yourself with these kind of people who you think are really doing a lot of good work, who can in turn motivate you, right? Because at the end of the day, if your peer circles are people who are very laid back and who are actually dragging you back as well from doing things in your life, that's going to definitely influence you, right? So I'm not saying now change your friend circle immediately. That's not something we're going to be doing, definitely. But at least apart from your core friend circle, do talk to and interact regularly with people who you see are self-motivated and wanting to do stuff. And I think that gives you a lot of inspiration to seeing other people really driven gives you yourself a lot of inspiration to move forward, right?
That's
And
wonderful advice. Yeah.
yeah. And I think a second tool that is very important that we all need to build is really building relations with people, right? For example,
Right.
if I were to look at it, the most important thing I'm going to take away from my college life is actually the relations I've built with the people there, right? It's not really the kind of, definitely it's important, the kind of academic journey and the co-curricular journey, etc., that I had on campus. But if I were to say one most important thing was my connections and the people I met on campus, right? So you need to think about in ways of really how can you add value to others' lives, right? To be able to build and maintain relations. And
Right.
that can be an asset that can help you through very different facets of life.
That's amazing. That's so true. I mean, I think you just sort of have to like carry those people with you and maintain those genuine connections that you've made,
Mhm.
for sure. I think those are the people who really ground you. That's great. Um, Now, talking a bit about the current scenario, and even you said that you learned how to utilize your time during lockdown, and you did such amazing things. Certain people don't think the way you do, or think a bit differently. They get pressurized, and they feel a lot of fear, and they feel a bit there's a lot of melancholy in the air today. There's a lot of like despair and sadness. People's plans are completely off track. These are strange times and people feel not so productive as they did before coronavirus happened. What advice would you like to give young people, how to be productive and how to sort of get over this slump that we're all experiencing?
Okay. I think you hinted towards it I think my perspective towards the COVID scenario is slightly different, right? I actually see COVID giving us, especially the youth, a very great opportunity, right? Both in terms of having a lot more time on our hands, given that we can literally just sit and coordinate everything on one desk at home, right? And second is there are actually a lot of lesser distractions as well, right? External distractions that used to eat away a lot of our day-to-day time. So I think one thing which I always tell people is kind of, use this time as an opportunity to really do things that you wanted to do for a long time, but you've never had the time for it, right? Given that you're not really traveling to places as well, and you're mostly locked up in your home, you have a lot of extra time on your hands and utilize this. Maybe it could be an activity, it could be maybe something new that you want to learn, And doing that in itself will give you a little more energy, right? It will give you a little more energy and excitement, and it'll help you kind of tackle the gloom or the despair that has been brought about with the COVID era, right? And second thing is definitely, I think we need to spend some time away from the digital space. All of us have become, I think, 24/7 locked into our devices throughout the day, be it work, leisure, or anything else. So at least create one hour of safe space for yourself, and you're just disconnecting from the digital space and connecting with yourself. That too can really help you to keep in line with what's really going on within yourself, and boost your productivity.
Absolutely. I think that's so true. I think this is gold. This advice is gold, everybody. I hope you're listening, and I hope you're taking into consideration that what he just said. Um, as a leader of your own company, I'm sure you, like you said earlier, you have a group of 10 people that you work with. Teamwork is really important for success and leadership. So, how would you propose managing a team, and what are your thoughts about like conflict resolution within your team?
All right. So I think it's very important to really look at and understand the motivations and capabilities of each member of your team, right? You need to really understand why somebody is a part of your team. What really are they looking forward to, right? Are they looking forward at just working 9 to 5 and finishing up their work? Are they interested in certain kind of opportunities? What really drives them? Right? So you need to find things that drive them and kind of utilize that to keep them motivated through the work, right? And at the same time, you need to be sensitive about their capabilities, right? Kind of harnessing the best out of it, and not maybe not giving them work, being able to help and support them through work that they're not as capable as. And so these two key things, understanding their motivations and their capabilities, is kind of, I think, the key to work with your teams, right? Just talking a little bit about conflict resolution, since you mentioned it, is I think two things is, one is keeping a very open atmosphere of communication. Right? A lot of conflicts happen due to miscommunication or suppressed communication among employees or between teams. Right? And second is kind of encouraging a culture wherein people can very openly disagree to kind of plans of actions before it's decided. But once a team commits to a certain kind of implementation or a certain plan, everybody has to be on board, right? So it's kind of like there shouldn't be dissent after the team has together decided on a certain plan of action to move forward, and we should stick to that and work thoroughly.
Fantastic. So true. I mean, communication is really the key. So true. As someone who's young and like already in a leadership position at such a young age, what does leadership mean to you now going forward in your life?
Right. For me personally, leadership is actually just a starting point, right? At least where I am currently. I see that as a very huge opportunity for myself to personally grow and learn, right? There's just so much you learn while working with teams, working with people from different kinds of backgrounds, again, looking at people with different capabilities, skill sets, and motivations, right? So I'm really looking forward to my journey moving ahead, right? And second thing, I also definitely see this as an opportunity to guide others, right? Especially in such positions, people do look up to you for guidance, and help them through both professional and personal things as well. So I look forward to it as an opportunity in that sense as well.
That's brilliant. I mean, that's so true because everyone looks up to you, for advice and mentorship. And I think that's really what responsible leaders do, is not only, of course, helping yourself and like the goal and the output of whatever you're doing, your project or your company, but also sort of carrying everyone with you and taking everyone on this journey to success with you. So I think that's amazing. What were the challenges that you are or have faced on your path to being a leader in your field, and like what values are important to you as a leader?
All right. Thinking in terms of challenges, I think one of the first things that I had to really work on was kind of, you need to work on your own personality and character. And all of us do have certain flaws or certain drawbacks in the way we work with people, in the way we cooperate with them, come around things. So that's something that I spent a lot of time, especially through my college life, trying to build myself into a person who people are fine working with, right? Or rather, actually, people enjoy working with me in teams. And that was one of the things that was very important. right? Second is, I think in order to be a leader, first you need to be able to work under people, right? And work with people. Unless you're able to do these two things successfully, you'll never be able to lead people properly. And so
Wonderful.
that in itself was also quite a journey for me, right? And I think
Yeah,
finally, a major challenge most of us face is definitely the kind of competition that we have today, right?
mm,
It's very in excess, right? And that's something that we all have to face no matter what.
absolutely. I think that's a major challenge.
Right. So coming to the second part of your question in terms of what are my values in association with leadership, right? I think one is coming back to a point I raised earlier in terms of really building relations with people. And at the end of the day, you are working with people, and it's really important to build relations with them apart from just the kind of work you're doing with them, right?
Absolutely.
And maybe I think a second thing coming back to one of the challenges, which was in terms of the competition that we face, just sharing a little bit from my personal journey was through school, college, and beyond that as well. I think the people who have been my most strongest competitors have also been my closest friends.
Wow.
Right. So that's the way I see that, I really grow with my competition. Right. So it doesn't really become a journey wherein I'm fighting against them, but it's kind of, we are growing together and pushing each other to our best. So that's something I've maintained through my school and college life. And, I think that really helps you to give a positive twist to the kind of more competition that we face today.
That's amazing. Wow. I mean, I never really thought of it from that perspective. That was wonderful. So, the last thing I'd like to ask you is what would you like to leave our viewers with in terms of what final thoughts would you like to, what advice or anything that you'd like to say to our audience with, as we wrap it up?
Right. So I think one thing I've identified is, especially as I've seen it with my peers and juniors across college, was that, most of us are kind of waiting for inspiration, right?
Mm,
Kind of waiting for the inspiration of, okay, this is what I want to do in life, or, this is what appeals and makes sense to me. And then what happens is in the process of waiting for this inspiration or searching for it, you end up wasting a lot of time in the sense you're not really doing much, right? You're just kind of chilling and whiling away your time. Right? So it's really good to spend time and effort searching for what this inspiration is, right? But at the same time, also put in time and efforts to what's at hand in front of you, right? So that in a sense that you make yourself capable, so that whenever you do have this realization, this is a field that I want to move into, or this is what I want to do, you're already in a very capable position to take that up. Right? So it's not that after you realize that this is the direction I want to move in, you have to start from scratch. So build yourself in such a way that you're able to take up the direction that you later choose for yourself, right? And I
that's
think
amazing.
that's yeah. I think a second thing here is in terms of finding your direction as well is don't really blindly follow the trends, right? Just to give again a personal example here, I did ECM till class 12th, right? I studied science, physics, chemistry, maths, and I'd never studied economics before, right? And I scored pretty decently a 98%, right, ninth in the country. So
Yeah, no, me
typically,
too.
everybody would expect me. The point being, everybody was expecting me to continue with sciences,
Mhm.
right? But then I went ahead and opted to choose economics at St. Stephen's College. Right? I had never studied economics before that, right? And I could have very well taken science ahead.
That's
And
incredibly brave of you.
yeah, the point here being is that don't have to follow the cliche choices that society does. That's a very actively you need to craft your own
I think
pathway in
that's
terms of
something that's heavily ingrained in our community. Globally, I would like to say is that people are so sort of just, like horses with blinkers. They don't even if they want to pursue something, they're so afraid of it. There's just so much fear.
right. So very actively you need to work on crafting your pathway. Right? People are not going to tell you what you want, what you need to do, but you need to actively seek it out and work towards it. I
That's
think these were my last thoughts for the viewers today.
That's brilliant. I mean, I think you've left us with a lot of inspirations and a lot of things to ponder upon. Thank you, Sunish. Now we're gonna just, lighten it up a little bit, and we're gonna chill. Okay. We have something exciting. It is a rapid fire round of
Okay.
questions. And I'm sure everyone's familiar with rapid fire. We're gonna shoot some questions at you, and you have about 20 seconds to respond. Don't think so much. Just, be open and be spontaneous and try to have some fun. So, are you ready?
I think I'm going to use some of the passes that you promised me. Nice to me as well.
All right. Well, brace yourself. Here we go. First question. So, if you could travel to any one country, which one would it be and why?
I think I'll go to US right now because some of my family members are there. I definitely want to go and meet them.
Okay, family. That's a good enough reason. That's yeah. What's your favorite book you've ever read?
Dan Brown, The Lost Symbol.
Oh, I love Dan Brown. I'm a fan. So, a virtual high five to you. Um, who was your favorite teacher while in school or university and why?
Okay, I think I'm going to use the 20 seconds on this.
Yeah. 20 seconds by the clock.
I'm not sure I can pick one teacher as my sole favorite, right? Because there are a lot of faculty members, especially at my school life, that inspired me. But I think one person whose name is coming to my mind right now is Shilpa ma'am. She was actually coordinating cultural activities on my school campus. And I think, yeah, she was always there to kind of, encourage me when I was doing things right and correct me when I was doing things wrong.
That's wonderful. Next, I think this is something even I want to know. What do you miss from the pre-COVID era?
I think in very simple terms, going out, right? I have literally been locked into, I have not exited a 1 square kilometer area in the past 6 months. Right? So literally going down for groceries.
We're all literally on the same boat here, all of us.
So I think going out, meeting my friends, eating nice food outside, and yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Those were the days.
Definitely.
Next question would be, what is one skill you would like to acquire and why? It could be any skill.
I think singing, right? Because opportunities do come up wherein people somehow force me to sing, and I sing really bad, like really, really bad. So I warn them that, if you do make me do this, you'll probably have an empty room after this. And I don't want to create that situation.
Oh, singing. Okay, got you.
And I'm not going to be singing here today.
Next time we hang out like this virtually, Sunish, I want like a 2-minute performance. So you better start working on your singing skills. What's your one goal you want to achieve in the next 5 years? Anything. It could be just anything. Not professionally, just any goal.
I think I want to pick back my habit of reading. I used to read a lot, something around, maybe 1 to 2 books a week. That was how much I used to read in my school days. That's something I kind of missed out in college, and I really want to get in tune with that again.
So you want to go back to sort of being a bookworm again?
I think bookworm has a negative connotation associated with it, so I wouldn't use that term, but kind of, yeah, reading a lot of books.
Is that the word?
Probably.
Yeah. And last but not the least, I want to know this also. Who is your favorite leader?
Okay. I think this is one of the questions where I myself don't have an answer. I do ask myself that very often, who are certain leaders that I look up to and, really want to draw inspiration from. So I think that's an answer that I am still searching for.
Still looking for.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that comes, at the top of your head, a couple of people that you look up to, even from the world in your business world, or anyone?
I think the first name that definitely does come to mind is the spiritual guide of Heartfulness Institute.
Of course, absolutely.
Daji, as we call him. And so I think the kind of humility with which he carries himself is something definitely very, very inspiring. And, at the same time, how he's able to, if you were to talk about time management and multitasking, probably studying his lifestyle will give you exponential insights into that.
Absolutely. I think he's like the ideal, the epitome of time management.
Definitely.
Great. So that's the end of it for the rapid fire. I hope you had a little bit of fun.
Definitely.
Great. So we're going to move into the Q&A real quick. Sunish, we have a lot of questions coming in for you. And I'm going to just shoot them at you. So let's see what people are asking you. So the first question is, what quality would you look for in a teammate? Wow. Okay, that's a nice one.
Okay. I think for me personally, I care a lot about work etiquettes. right? You may not be a very smart person or a very skilled person, right? But if you're able to I think if you're working on something together, you make sure that we take proper responsibility of the kind of work that we have, right, and make sure that they deliver on that. And that is something that I really look forward to in any person either I work with, work under, or lead as a part of my team as well.
Fab. Someone wants to know how much do you sleep in a day?
Right. I'm actually very happy you brought up that question, right? Because I work an average of around 12 to 14 hours a day. Right?
Whoa.
That's what I've been doing for the past 3 years now. Right. But at the same time, I sleep a minimum of 7 hours.
Ah,
Right. So that's something I did realize. If I reduce on the number of hours I sleep, my productivity definitely improves. So I try to hit an average of at least 7.5 hours every day.
that's amazing. Wow, you're really on point. Okay, be honest. So this is my question to you. Do
Mhm.
you do any late night Netflix binging? Okay.
Definitely, I do that as well. Right. I think kind of that's something I started more recently in the COVID era. Is I spend at least 30 to 60 minutes just relaxing before I fall asleep at night.
So like an episode a day.
Sort of an episode or half of a movie, something like that.
Ah, okay. So guys, he does binge Netflix. Okay. So another question is, what word of advice would you like to give us for the startups in the post-COVID era?
Right. That's a very interesting question, right? Because people are usually thinking about where they're going to go post COVID, right? And not really in terms of what startups they want to build,
Mhm.
right? I think one thing that's things are definitely going to change, right? We when we go back to the after COVID is done, what is titled kind of as a new normal, right? In the sense that there's going to be a lot more digital infusion into most of the sectors, right?
Absolutely.
Obviously, things are going to go back to running physically, but a lot of sectors that can substitute things digitally is going to move towards that, right?
Yeah.
And if you're looking at really establishing a long-term startup, don't just bank on the opportunities that will be presented right after COVID, right? Because the thing is, right after COVID, there's going to be a lot of travel, a lot of external spending, leisure, tourism, and so on. But that's not going to last forever. Right?
Yeah.
That's probably going to be as a surge, probably for the next 6 to 12 months right after COVID is done. But it's going to go back to normal after that. So kind of don't just think about the opportunities that are going to turn up right after COVID, but rather things that will persist even 6 to 12 months after COVID is gone.
So basically have like a long-term plan in
Yeah,
mind.
that's very necessary.
Absolutely. Another question. Um, how do you react or how do you deal with things when they're not going so good for you? And the mindset that you had before stepping up, and now that things are not in the same way, how do you manage that condition? So I guess what this person's trying to say is when things are not so good, how do you react to that? And and then when things get better, but then go back to not, sort of not being so stable, how do you manage it? So how do you manage like a downturn in your career or in your plans?
Right. Mm, I think one thing is kind of looking at a longer time span. Right.
Mhm.
I think kind of looking at that this is something probably temporary, right, or something that's come up right now, and have in mind that I'm working towards putting things back into a normal place, right? And I think the second technique I use there is you can actually call it as manipulating yourself, right? You need to I kind of try to look at some kind of plus side to whatever downturn has happened to me, right? Probably some kind of opportunity I can salvage out of that, or in a certain way that it has helped me. So maybe that way kind of helping, thinking that that is also something that helps in my personal growth and my journey moving forward, helps you to take it, add a positive spin to it, and keep working as you move forward.
Lovely. And one more question. I think this is a really cool question. What's your idea for fun?
Okay. I am a very big foodie, right? So I enjoy cooking different kind of dishes and definitely eating as well. Then I definitely do enjoy, spending time with my friends and maybe relaxing. Yeah.
Fabulous. Um, how do you search for investment for your ventures? That's a question that just popped up.
Okay. Um, how do you search for investments, right? So there are a lot of different opportunities, right? Something that's really good that is that, over the past few years, the government in itself is also very heavily pushing for student entrepreneurs, right? And especially for entrepreneurship in the social sector. Right, so what you need to really look at is and identify there are a lot of incubation and startup events happening across the country, even right now, right, in an online platform. So first things first is go up there, interact with people who are potential investors, try to understand what really they look for in companies, right? Then definitely next step would be, signing up for yourself for certain elevator pitches, right, wherein you have a set of funders sitting and listening to you pitch your initiative and try to get into those. So I think before directly approaching investors is maybe attend a couple of these, startup events to get a better idea of, what really do investors look for? How do you want to present your idea in the best possible manner, right? And maybe that will help you to kind of rectify the current outlay of land that you have in front of you as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Sunish. And thank you, everybody, for your wonderful questions. Appreciate it. And we hope that your questions were answered. Unfortunately, we can't take any more questions due to lack of time. But if you have any more questions for Sunish, please feel free to comment on our Facebook, responses from Sunish. That was fantastic. Thank you so much, Sunish, for your wisdom. Your journey so far has been extraordinary and remarkable. I mean, you really turned your challenges into opportunities, and I'm sure our audiences here tonight have gained so many pearls of wisdom from you. This chat, even for me, has been personally unforgettable. So thank you so much for being with us this evening. And guys, this brings us to the last segment of our session tonight, which is a quick relaxation session. So everybody just sit comfortably, close your eyes, and follow the instructions that are going to be played onto the video for relaxation. And let this relaxation technique sort of just carry you into a nice, calm state from the inside. And let's all imbibe the values that we all learned tonight. So everyone just sit in a comfortable position and let's just relax. So yeah.
Sit comfortably and close your eyes very slowly and very gently. Let's begin with the toes. Wiggle your toes. Now, feel them relax. Feel healing energy from the earth move up into your feet and ankles. Then up to your knees, relaxing your lower legs. Now feel the healing energy move up your legs, relaxing them. Relax your thighs. Now, deeply relax your hips, stomach, and waist. Relax your back. From the top to the bottom, your entire back is relaxed. Relax your chest and shoulders. Feel your shoulders simply melting away. Relax your upper arms. Relax each muscle in your forearms. Relax your hands right up to your fingertips. Now relax your neck muscles. Move your awareness up to your face. Relax your jaw, mouth, nose, eyes, earlobes, facial muscles, forehead, all the way to the top of your head. Feel that your whole body is completely relaxed. Scan your system from top to toe, and if there's any part of your body that is still tense, painful, or unwell, spend some more time immersing it in the healing energy of the earth. When you are ready, move your attention to your heart. Rest there for a little while. Feel immersed in the love and light in your heart. Remain still and quiet, and slowly become absorbed in yourself. Remain absorbed for as long as you want, until you feel ready to come out.
Wow, that was incredible. I feel so relaxed and I feel so still on the inside. Thank you for that relaxation video. This brings us to the end of today's session. And once again, I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. And I hope that you learned a great deal about entrepreneurship and the various aspects of leadership in entrepreneurship. Thank you so much once again, Sunish, for sharing your amazing life experiences with us and for taking us on this journey with you. Thank you so much for your valuable time and your insights. And all of us, even myself included, we've learned so much from you tonight. So once again, I would like to thank you on behalf of the Inside Out team and all of our viewers, and wish you good luck in your journey ahead. And we hope you reach new heights of success.
Thank you so much for hosting me here today. It was really a pleasure interacting with you, and really nice questions from the audience as well.
Thank you so much, Sunish. It was
Yeah.
a pleasure having you with us. Everybody, just a quick announcement. We would love to know how starting or practicing heartfulness meditation has helped you transform your life. So we are sending out a form for humans of heartfulness. If you have the time, please share your inspiring journey of spirituality and heartfulness with us. And your story could be featured on the Youth 2.0 page and the Humans of Heartfulness page. So once again, please fill in the form and share your journey with us. And that's all for this week. We hope you'll join us once again, same time and same place next Saturday, with a fresh new perspective on leadership and a brand new speaker. So stay tuned and follow us on all our social media pages and keep up with all the new updates on our series as well as interactive posts and content. So we'll see you next Saturday. And until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week ahead. So thank you once again, everybody. Have a great night.